Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga, text 33. Arjuna Vacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Prokta Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham na Pashyami Chanchalatvat Sthitim Sthiram. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and endurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. So in this chapter, Krishna has been telling Arjuna, you do this, Dhyan Yoga, you do Ashtanga Yoga. You know, you go alone to the forest, you find a seat, neither too low, neither too high, put kusha grass, put the deer skin, sit down there. Then you control your mind and senses. You become steady. And then you practice this samadhi. He also told him you control your breathing process. And then you, in this samadhi, you fix your mind on me. And then you will become perfect, liberated. So now Arjuna is telling him, oh Madhusudana. Madhusudana, killer of the demon, Madhu. Krishna had killed a demon by the name of Madhu. So one of the names of Krishna is Madhusudana. Krishna has many names. He likes specifically to be called in relation with his devotees. He likes to be called like that. Yashodanandan, Nandanandan. He likes these names. Son of Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj. Gopi Jana Vallabha. You know? So then, now Krishna, Arjuna already 5,000 years ago, when Krishna told him, you do this, yoga, meditation. Arjuna told him, I'm sorry, Krishna. It's impractical. What you are telling me to do this meditation process, it is impractical and it's endurable. I won't be able to, it's undurable, it's unbearable. I won't be able to bear it. Why? Because the mind is restless and unsteady. So we can see that Arjuna is sincere. He's sincere because he really wants to understand the truth. He really wants to attain perfection. And so he's trying to understand, okay, what Krishna is telling me, meditate this, that, but how my mind is so unsteady. How am I gonna be able to do it? So he's bringing out this. Immediately he's telling to Krishna, I won't be able to do it. So if 5,000 years ago, Arjuna was not able to do it, how do we think that we in Kali Yuga are going to be able to do it? 5,000 years ago, Arjuna, much more qualified than us. Can't even compare the qualification of Arjuna to our qualification. He's Dwapar Yuga, Yuga earlier than us. His life was longer, much more qualified. His mind was more focused than what we have now. And he himself is saying it's impractical and unendurable. So he's already rejecting that I will not be able to perform this process perfectly to attain perfection. The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Shucho Deshe and ending with Yogi Parama, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization, even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior. He had great longevity. And above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now. Yet he refused to accept the system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. So Arjuna, not only immediately he says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's really impractical for me. And he never even practiced it at any point in his time. He never practiced the system of yoga because this was a system of perfection in Satyug. Not even in Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, it was already become yajna, fire sacrifices. Even in Treta Yuga, the process of perfection was not meditation. Process of meditation for perfection was in Satyug, where people could live for 100,000 years. So even 5,000 years ago, when Arjuna had much longer life than us, much more resources than us, he refused to accept it. Then how can we, Kali Yuga people, accept it? So we can understand that if we are going to attempt to get perfection by this process, most likely we will not be successful. Most likely. The chance of success is very unlikely. So why take a risk? We don't have such a long life. We have to finish our process in this one short life that we have. So why shall we try to endeavor something which has no guarantee? Why? If we are really serious about self-realization. So, so therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. So few of people might be able to do it. But what about us, the general people? How are we going to get perfection of life? If this was so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal. So why is Prabhupada speaking so strongly about it? Because at his time, maybe even now, many were saying that through this process of yoga, one can get perfection, one can get liberation. But we can understand 5,000 years ago, Arjuna already said that to get liberation by this process is impractical, not possible. And so, and that's the reason the process for this age is Harinam Sankirtan. Harinam Sankirtan is the Kali Yuga Dharma. What is the Kali Yuga Dharma? Harinam Sankirtan. That is the chanting of the holy names. That is the way we can get perfection in this Kali Yuga. Is that all right? So we should not try to imitate or try to waste our time to do something which is not going to give us perfection. And doing yoga for health reasons, sure, that's okay. That is like to maintain the body. That's okay. That's a completely different matter. Here we are speaking about is to get, to understand the perfection of life. To be situated in our original position. We are not talking about maintaining the body physically. We are not talking of that. We're talking of being situated in our original position. And that can be easily achieved by Harinam Sankirtan in this age.
Yeah,
is that okay?
Yeah. So they're trying to, in this chapter, since then, they're trying to tell us that devotional service, because he asked the question in the beginning, right? So then that's why Krishna is telling him about the yogic process, the Ashtanga yoga process, like how it is, and right? That's why in the 6th chapter, we have been talking about this process that, and then I think that maybe because, so that we know that how difficult it is, and it is not applicable for this Kali Yuga. And even at that time, even in Treta, that was Dwapar Yuga. Even in that time, Arjuna even couldn't imagine of doing, and though he was such a big like warrior, he was a Kshatriya and he had so much power. We don't even have that much. And still he did not want to do it. He said that I won't be. Right? So he's
That's
trying
right.
to explain us all the Ashtanga Yoga process.
Yes. And because this is a bona fide process, it's not that it is not. It is.
Yeah.
That's why Krishna is speaking about it in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is giving all knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. He's giving knowledge of Gyan Yoga. He's given also of Ashtanga Yoga. So everything. But he's going to speak of Bhakti Yoga, which is, we can understand as the most practical for us in this age of Kali. It's the easiest way that we can get perfection.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you so much for listening and joining in. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.